On this week's podcast, you'll be hearing live recordings from the school parking lot, the school hallway, the school office, and the school classroom. It's a day in the life.
Substitute Teachers Lounge.
All right, I am recording on a weekday morning, this opening. I chose to take a day off from subbing today to kind of get my softball equipment all cleaned up and ready to go for the season, brush up on my rule book, get that all going. And I'm up in my office early enough that a school bus goes by, and I'm thinking, man, I sure wish I was in the classroom today. So I'm not sure if I made the smartest decision or not today, but I guess I'll have to live with it. Let me mention something that I want us to just do for fun. I'll mention it real quickly. You know, I'm from Kentucky. The only thing we really have to follow in our state, sports-wise, is Kentucky basketball. And this time of year, me and my friends and some fellow teachers, we always join in a little bracket game. We fill out our brackets, free. There's no prizes, but it's just fun for a good pat on the back. I would like for you guys to participate in that with us this year. Now, the best way to do that is to go to the Substitute Teachers Lounge Facebook and click the link there. If for some reason you can't do that, here's the link. It is bit.ly/2 capital T, capital F, Q, capital J, N, K. You just click that, follow the directions, and we'll be able to all play the bracket together. Go ahead and join now, and the bracket comes out a week from today, and we'll have a great time. So do that. I want you all to enjoy it with us. Today's going to be a day in the life. It's something I've been wanting to do. I hope you like it. You might not, but it was fun for me. I hope you like it. What my goal is to show you recordings I made on the school site, and just to kind of show you what I go through, how I open a class, how I close a class with some fun sometimes, how I go about picking what I'm subbing for that day, what I do when I get to the school property, all things like that. I might even share some ideas that I've heard from other substitute teachers, but I hope you're going to like it. I definitely want to first make you aware of what the next 2 weeks are going to entail, okay? The next week, I'm going to be interviewing Jen Stevens. She is a teacher, and she's going to give us a lot of input for substitute teachers on that show, but she's also a best-selling author. You've heard me talk about intermittent fasting. I'm not going to talk about it anymore today. We'll talk about it next week, but she is also going to talk about her book, Delay, Don't Deny, and her new book coming out in June. And let's face it, you know that when we are in the school cafeterias or the school, maybe teacher's lounge, all sitting together and eating, we often go to conversations about eating and about being healthy, and I think I heard a conversation to that effect every day. I would consider myself overweight right now. That's why I'm wanting to lose some weight and make some lifestyle changes. But Jen will approach this from a teacher standpoint. She sometimes struggled when she was a teacher with her health, so I think it's important for us to talk about topics like that. So that will be next week's episode. The week after that, I'm really excited about because it's going to be my first podcast swap, okay? I'm going to have hosts on my podcast, interviewing them live. I am going to be on their podcast where they interview me live. And let me tell you why. I told you the name last week, and I've told you before, the name of the podcast is the Curious Kid Podcast. I'm going to share that and interview them because I think it is a great resource for teachers. I have used it in the classroom. Basically, they share something that they are curious about because they've been asked a question by another young student and they answer the question. So that is very important for us to use things like that in the classroom. So we'll approach it from that standpoint. I'm going to be on their podcast the same day. And the reason being, each of their subject is something they're explaining. So you all have heard me talk about my colorblindness, and that is what I'm going to explain to them and talk about. And he actually, the Jacob, the leader of the podcast, and his 6-year-old daughter Olivia, they're the host. Jacob put in a lot of time researching it, and I've already heard an advanced copy, and I know that it is excellent, and it has taught me about colorblindness like I never knew before. Like, why do men get color blindness more than women? There's an actual scientific explanation to that. So it will be excellent. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. And since we're talking about interviews, let me tell you this. You guys must have just loved Drew last week. Let me tell you this in the form of statistics. And let me back up just a little bit. My goal when we started this podcast, and it took me probably a few months to get there, was to have a certain amount of listens by Monday morning, 24 hours after it was released, and to have a certain number of listens by 7 days after it was released. And we reached that consistently. Usually, we would have about double the amount of listens in 7 days as we had after that first 24 hours. So I would get a bunch of listens when it was first released, and then listens would also come, not as heavily, but throughout the week, and basically double by the time we got to 7 days out. Now, as we've grown and you guys have made the podcast more popular, that goal was not only accomplished more quickly, but my Monday morning goal is now the goal for about 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. That's about when it hits. And then the 7-day goal had been hitting consistently here lately. Instead of it being on the following Sunday, that goal I've been reaching in about Wednesday or Thursday, until last week's interview with Drew. And I'm happy to say that what had been the 7-day goal previously, and obviously I need to set a new goal, that one was accomplished on Tuesday last week. So my 7-day projection we got in basically just over 48 hours. So I know that you guys had a lot of nice comments about what Drew had to say. I surely appreciate the fact that he was on here talking about substitute teaching and professional wrestling and how everything that we involve with can make our classrooms, be even more comfortable and give us more stories to share. We know from interviewing students in the past that they love it when we share those stories. So let's do that consistently. But I'm glad you enjoyed that. That was the fastest to that 7-day goal of any episode we've ever had. We've had some others that were close, but not quite that accelerated. So I'm happy for that. So that's basically what's going on with the podcast. That's what's going on with the coming up in the next 2-week highlights. So we've got that going, and I don't want you to wait any longer. I had fun doing the day in the life of a substitute teacher. I want you to hear it now. Keep in mind that I wanted to keep it private with the students, so I didn't interview with any of them individually. You'll hear some of their voices in the classroom, but mainly it's just to show you what I go through on a daily basis when I substitute teach. I'd love for you to send me some sound bites. Let me know how you substitute teach. Again, you can do that at gregcollinssubstitute@gmail.com. Don't forget our Facebook page at Substitute Teachers Lounge. And then we also have that Patreon page now, patreon.com/Substitute Teachers Lounge. We've already got several files uploaded to that, some of which are not not or no longer public, and you can listen to those there. And I've got a lot of stuff that I've got planned in upcoming weeks for that too. So I appreciate all of you guys that are supporting through that avenue. So with no further ado, and I'm probably going to repeat this too much, this is the day in the life of a substitute teacher. All right, guys, it is the night before a day in the life of a substitute teacher. It's funny how things go sometimes. Next week, I have every day full from teachers that have texted me in advance wanting me to sub for them. This week, the week coming up, I only have one day full. So I am sitting here the night before. I was waiting for a sub job to pop open. I was actually hoping that it would be while I was doing this recording, but it was literally seconds before I started the recording that something came up. I want to just take you through what I do when that happens. I am using SubAlert now. I think it is the fastest. I love the tone, and I love their calendar. So here's what happened. I heard the tone. I looked at my phone. I saw the school. I glanced quickly to make sure it was a full day. I have accepted. I'll accept half days if it's requested by the teacher usually. In this case, it was a school I like, and let's face it, I like all the schools, but it looked good to me. It said middle school instruction, so I clicked on it. Now, what I do in every situation, I try to click on it as soon as absolutely possible. I know the night before that I'm not going to feel guilty if I later turn that job back in, because it will always get picked up in our area fairly quickly. So I don't feel guilty about that, especially like if I had had a teacher call me a few minutes after that and say, Mr. Collins, can you sub for me tomorrow? I would go cancel this random job and instead take that teacher's job. But I shifted into preparation mode. The first thing I do is go to the staff directory if I don't know this teacher. I've actually heard this teacher's name, but wasn't sure what they taught. So I went to the directory. I looked it up. It still had middle school instruction on there, so really no hints. I then tried to search for this person on Facebook, and again, not from a hacking standpoint, but anything that they chose to make public. And a lot of times when I do that, I'll find that myself and the teacher has several mutual friends, because I've now subbed enough that a lot of the teachers, some of the parents we've followed each other by, I usually wait for their request. I don't specifically go out and seek those out. But if they ask me, I always accept a friend request. So I look for that. I did not find any information. I did find some with the name that we had some mutual friends. I'm not sure if that's who I'm teaching for, because they really did not identify that on the Facebook page. I did go to the school's Facebook page, and while it didn't give me any help with that teacher, what I did find out is this is a special week for this school, and because of what they're doing, the day that I'm substituting, we're supposed to wear red. So that picked out my attire for the day. So I would encourage you to stay active on the school's Facebook pages to pick up on things like that. You know, it just helps you to fit in better when you go into substitute. So when I go in there in the morning, I will record some more about what the teacher is teaching, what I found out in the office, and that type of thing. But this was the night before, so I'll record more for you. We'll talk to you again when I get there the next day. It's the next morning, sitting in a parking lot. This is probably the third different lot I've chose to park at this school. As I've gotten more accustomed as to what spaces get hemmed in by the buses at the end of the day, or maybe where the traffic flow with the lights is just a little bit better. So I think I finally figured that out. But it's a rainy day here in Kentucky. I'm getting ready to walk in here in just a moment, and we'll see how the day's going to go. Hey, am I allowed to come in with you? Good morning. How are you? Good.
It's going to be the math guru today, huh?
That was what I was hoping. I thought that, because that's kind of what, I prefer math over anything, to be honest. All right, so there's nothing like walking through the door and finding out you're teaching the subject that you enjoy most. So I'm the math teacher today. I love the room. I see some tic-tac-toe boards set up. I see some great bulletin boards. This is probably one of the cleanest and most organized rooms I've been in. They've all been good, but this one I think rises above a little bit. It's going to be another teacher stopped me in the hallway to tell me that this teacher said it would be a Google Classroom and iReady day, so it sounds like an all-computer day. So I like to walk around and help them when that happens. But it's a really nice day. I think it will go fine. We'll see how it goes, and I'll try to record a little bit more as we move along. Also wanted to mention that I have glanced through the rosters already. I always think that's a good idea, and I already recognize some of the students' names. Some of them are from the volleyball team, so that will be good for me. Some of them I've had before in classroom, so I think it's going to shape up to be a good day. All right, it's third period. It is my planning period. This is one of those schools where they actually have the planning period and the lunch back to back. So I basically have an hour and a half. I'm a reader, so I'll figure out ways to occupy my time in that regard. The classes today have been outstanding. I know it's probably one of the top to bottom, one of the best behaved bunch of kids I have ever run into in my life, and it's been both 7th and 6th grade. I got the message when I first got in here that it was just going to be a Chromebook day, and we would work on a couple of different things. I will tell you, I always make sure I look around at the entire desk. I noticed that there was also a sub in here the last day, and the teacher was able to leave notes for them, whereas she wasn't for me. But one thing that was on there that I found was her cell phone number, and she had told that teacher to text her if we needed anything. So when I got to my second period, I went from 7th grade to 6th grade. They could not find the assignment they needed to do on Google Classroom, so I just texted her, and she was able to send me the assignment and what they needed to work on. So that's what I try to practice doing. Always look at your surroundings. Make sure that you might be able to pick up some things that you otherwise would not have. Maybe some items you can tell they've been talking about. I always like to walk around, especially in math class, since that's what I enjoy doing, and just kind of get a feel for what they're working on. So they have done real well. I'm all ready to I know exactly what kind of notes I'm going to leave for the teacher at the end of the day about these classes, but I just wanted to get on here and tell you to be aware, so I will be back on in just a moment. Wanted to mention one thing in the classroom that I really like is a wall that's devoted to invisible math, and it's kind of just the things that are alternate ways of saying things, like multiplication signs. You could say A times B, AB, or A dot B, those types of things. Division signs, you might have A divided by B, A over B. 6 is the same as plus 6. 3 is the same as 3 over 1. 10 is the same as 10.0. 125 to the 0 power is 1. Any number is that, of course. 7 is the same as 7 to the first power. X is the same as 1x. 2y would be equal to 2 times y, and just a sheet on the distributive property. So I know those of you that teach math classes are familiar with all those, like 2 times the quantity of x plus 4 is the same as 2x plus 8. So I really like that. The teacher called it invisible math, and it's all those unusual type things. So good bulletin board. I will take a picture of it and post it to the Facebook page. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's find a seat. I'll let you negotiate a little bit. Here's the way I'll do things today. I'll treat you all just like I've treated all the other classes. At 5 minutes after 12, I'll see how good you've acted. Okay? I'll see how good you've behaved. And then, I'm sorry, I thought it was just one person. And then I will let you move if you want to. Here's our rules when we move. If you talk more after we move than before we move, what happens? You get moved back. And I'm one of those, I'm not going to do it individually. If one person gets in trouble everybody has to move back, okay? So keep that in mind. You are allowed to listen to music today. Now listen, here's what I want you to do though. I don't want you to just pick a song and then pick another song. Pick a clean playlist and leave it on there so you don't have to keep going back to your music source, okay? Let me tell you what she told you guys to do. You're doing iReady. Really, top priority is NTI. If you've got NTI to finish, do that first. iReady, and then 30 minutes of Power My Learning Math, okay? I have a seating chart up here, so that's what I'm going to take attendance from, okay? How many of y'all have me before? Some of you have, haven't you? Okay, I'm pretty easy to get along with. I'm not a yeller. I treat you. The way I figure it, you're going to treat me the way I treat you, right? So I try to treat you guys with respect too. So you'll have plenty of things to keep you busy. I'd be happy to answer any questions I can. I'm actually halfway decent at math. That doesn't mean I'm not going to ever tell you anything wrong. So we'll see how that goes. Any questions? Man, everybody has been so well behaved today. I never was this well behaved when I was your age. What's happened over the generation? I'll have a trivia question for you at the end of class about movies, just for kicks. I might do. I don't have any made up very well yet, but I tried to do 2 truths and a lie in the first class, but the ones I came up with were kind of dumb. So, and I can tell you all are too intelligent for that type of thing. So, we'll see how that goes too. Okay. So I'll glance at the attendance real quick, and you guys feel free to dig into the Chromebooks. All right, you guys have been very behaved today. You are definitely my best class of the day so far. All right, here's my 2 truths and a lie. So I'm going to let you decide this as a class. I'll let you vote after I say them. Here's the 3 things I wrote down. See if you believe these. In the 70s, I saw Kiss live twice.
How old are you?
I'm not saying.
That is a lot.
All right. That's the first thing. Second thing, I have Billie Eilish on my playlist. And the third thing, I've been married less than 35 years. So, if you think it's, I've seen Kiss twice, raise your, if you think, you're picking the one that you don't think's true. I've seen Kiss twice. How many of you think that's false?
That's false.
Okay. I've got Billie Eilish on my playlist. How many of you think that's false? Okay. I've been married less than 35 years. Okay, you guys are good. I've been married 40 years. The other 2 are true. All right? So, here's the trivia question. Oh, I love her. I like the weird stuff. Movie question. Movie trivia. You all probably know last year's top movie was Avengers Endgame. Right? Raise your hand if you know the answer to this next question. What was second? What?
Wait,
What was second?
I think I know, but I don't know.
Or guess. No. That's a good guess. That's a good guess.
I like Star Wars. It was my favorite movie of all time.
Nobody knows it, really? Nobody's going to try?
Give us options.
I'll give you a clue, but give me a couple more guesses first. What? No, that was like 5th or something like that. All right, I'll give you a clue. Go ahead.
Secret Life of Pets 2.
No, somebody else guessed that in an earlier class. Don't look it up. Don't cheat. Don't cheat.
I mean, it's
Here's your hint. It's a remake.
Is it Mary Poppins 2?
No?
No, I know it, but I don't know it.
What is it?
I feel like
Are you giving up? We only got 2 more minutes.
I had it on thing like the tip of my tongue, but I don't know.
All right.
I mean,
You ready? We just tell you.
yeah.
It's The Lion King.
No way! That's my step.
All right, guys, I picked a great day to do this. This was some of the most well-behaved students I have ever had. It was a great day. It was a math day. The last period of the day was a day that some people call it STAR, some call it achievement. It was more a day where they could read and do computer work. I was glad that I actually got to talk to some of the students A couple of them were volleyball players, so we talked a little bit. I think that is great for the connecting and the bonding process. So it was an absolutely great day. Heading back home in the rain. Don't worry, I am using hands-free, so you don't have to be concerned about me. But that was basically the day in the life of a substitute teacher, and I guess I might have to do it again tomorrow. So I've got a job in 2 days, don't have a job tomorrow. So I hope this has helped you a little bit. It shows you what I go through. It shows you what most substitute teachers go through on a given day. Hopefully you even picked up a few ideas of how to streamline your day a little bit and how to be better prepared for the students. So that was the day in the life of a substitute teacher. All right, guys, so there you have it. I certainly enjoyed it. I hope you did too. That was so much fun for me. Let's remember our big interview with best-selling author Jen Stevens next week. You are going to enjoy that. So I will see you next week on Substitute Teachers Lounge. Music provided by Ben Sound.